Alright, so well, here we are. Let me introduce you to my offset smoker. There's a story behind this. I mean, it's an absolute budget one. It's a £90 one, which I got from Amazon or somewhere like that. Basically, the story behind it is my mother, at 2020 at the moment, we couldn't get to the she couldn't get to the shops and this, that and the other, so she gave me some money. She said, what are you gonna do with it? Normally I'd have probably pissed it up the wall or something like that, spent it on something really like wasteful, and I thought, no, because she couldn't get me anything, I'm going to use it and actually buy myself something with it. Now I went out and I wanted to get a barbecue. Summer's coming, so I wanted to get a new barbecue, and I saw this this thing that had what looked like a bingo drum on the side of it. So I thought, that's interesting, I wonder what it is. I looked it up and I found out about smoking and things like that, so I thought, oh, that'll be interesting. It'd be like a bit of a hobby and something to do. So I ordered it, it arrived, I put it together, and I'm not gonna lie, a lot of my mates and probably seasoned barbecue smokers will ridicule it, you know, for being a cheap product. And you know, they're partly right. You know, the more I've been doing this, the more I've realized that, you know, there are a lot better products out there, and probably eventually in time I will invest in a much better model. But for the time being, I'm learning how to smoke. I'm a rank amateur at this, but I do enjoy it, and I will, and hopefully that will continue. Yeah, so it does the job, you know. As I said, you don't learn how to drive in a Ferrari, you use a bog standard car to learn how to drive, you know. So that's where we're at. It's got everything that's needed. It's got a heat chamber, it's got a cooking chamber, it's got an exhaust. It will do the job, you know. And yeah, that's where we're at with the smoke. Right, I just wanted to show you what meat I'm using here. So first of all, I'm going to go for this. It's a leg of pork, a nice joint. You can see here, fantastic bit of marbling in there and everything like that, and a really thick skin. What I'm going to do is, I've already started. I'm using a sharp knife just to cut through that skin a little bit. What we're going to do with that is we're going to get a little bit more. We're going to get a little bit more flavouring and spices in there. Now with pork, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a dry rub. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on it, and then I'm going to use a dry rub made out of brown sugar, paprika, a little bit of black pepper, and some fantastic salt. It's best to use I often use Himalayan. Because it's just more flavoursome. Don't use table salt, whatever you do, it's shocking. Let me put that to one side. The other joint of meat I'm doing today is a beautiful brisket. I've put some tissue underneath it just to get it dry out a little bit more. The more liquid you get out of it, the better. It's fantastic cut. Got it off my local butchers, and what I'm going to do with this, again, I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil. I'm then going to put on only black pepper and lovely salt, because I feel it doesn't need any extra sweetness. It just needs pepper and salt, really, and that'll do. You know, the reason I put olive oil on it is just to grip the salt onto the actual meat a little bit. This is 2 pounds here. So, well, in metric terms, I'd say that's probably about 1 kilo. So it's quite weighty, and it's a lovely joint there. So, yeah, that's about it. Right, as you can see, I've put the rub on. It's like sugary. It's a sugary, peppery, salty flavour, which is fantastic for pork. Go right into the crevices and penetrate that meat. What will happen is all of that will just create a superb flavour. It's going to be absolutely delicious when smoked on the barbecue. It's going to just infuse it. And don't feel tentative with it. You know, it's you know, just get in there and proper massage it in and make sure it's in everywhere. The brown sugar will caramelise a little bit. There's also a little bit of layer of oil, so don't feel worried about it drying out. You know, this is going to be so flavoursome. So that's my pork done. All right, so this is the bit of brisket now. What I've done, so I've basically a bit of olive oil. I've then put on some fantastic Coleman's English mustard. I've seen some videos and other, you know, recipes and stuff where from America now where they use that dreadful yellow stuff. You know, I wouldn't give that to the cat, if I'm honest with you. It's disgusting. We're British. We use Coleman's English mustard. It's a traditional, good quality mustard. Tastes fantastically. It's got great flavours. And as I said, I rubbed that in. Not a lot of it, just a little bit all over the brisket. That also grabs then hold of my mixture, which is only sea salt and pepper. It's got a little hint of a little bit of paprika in it, but it's not essential. I just like to have that for the little extra kick. But salt and pepper is fine. That's all meat needs, a beef needs, steak needs is salt and pepper. It doesn't need anything else. You know, you don't have to get fancy with loads of like superb rubs and putting on you know, barbecue sauces and jerk and all this nonsense. Salt and pepper is what beef needs, nothing else. That's all you want. All right, so that's the meat prepped, ready. We're gonna go on to fire up the smoker. And yeah, we'll see. I'll see you then. Okay, so what you do is I'm going to get the heat chamber heated. Bog standard charcoal. I'm going to light that, get them fired up. Once they're fired up, and they've got a nice sort of heat to them. Ideally, it will be like a you know, what you don't want is flames and all that nonsense. What you want is a nice, mellow, sort of red, white heat. Once that's happened, I've got some fantastic logs here, which I'll then add to the mix. That gives you the smoke, and that's what's going to penetrate through the meat. Basically, it runs through this chamber here, and that will penetrate the meat, and will low and slow cook the fantastic 2 joints that I've prepared. Okay, right, it's time to show the meat some heat and smoke. At the bottom there, if you can see, I've put a drip pan down. It's one of the pans I used earlier to prepare the meat in it. No point throwing it away straight after. So what I've done is I've just filled it up with a little bit of apple juice and water, and that gives it that extra bit of you know, extra bit of moisture within the cooking chamber. So I'm gonna place that down at the back here. What I'm doing is I'm doing the slim side. I'm putting the slim side at the back, obviously, because the heat is coming from this end. That will follow through, and obviously you use the thicker end at the front. You know, that's going to be beautiful. Right, the same applies for my other joint of pork. I'm going to put that in here, like that. And exactly the same will happen. So those go in. You've got to resist the temptation of opening the chamber up constantly. We're going to leave that in here for about an hour or so, and then we'll quickly check up on it again. But yeah, no more than an hour. It's about an hour and a half it's been in there. I'm going to give it a little spritz with this thing here. Just adds a bit of liquid to it. What I've got here is it's just apple juice really. It's and I've also added a little bit of wine. Shh, don't tell anyone. Just a very small amount of wine. And yeah, that's basically what's happening. I'm giving it a little spritz, then we'll seal that up again. Right, here we are. Here's my bit of brisket. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to wrap it There's some baking foil here. I'm going to wrap this in baking foil. Get it nice and wrapped together. And basically make sure it's all wrapped up nicely. So this is baking foil. Okay, now I'm going to use a bit of silver foil over the top. Get that all wrapped up. Lovely. And then, yeah, like a little you do it like a little parcel. So that's all wrapped fantastically well. Okay, same thing here. We're going to do that. We're going to get a little bit of butter and whack that on. Yeah, get that all over. It's proper butter, real butter. Don't use cheap stuff. Just use actual real butter. Okay. Get it wrapped. Almost like a little parcel, you know. And what we're intending to do with this is to keep all the moisture internally. And get a lovely sort of tender, moist meat. Which is what it's all about. All the smoke and everything is already penetrated, so we've got the fantastic flavours already. Shut up, Lottie. We've got them fantastic flavours already. And then now what we're doing now is just trying to get the texture of the meat to be spot on. Right, so we've got a little parcel here. Done. Right, so here we are. Here's the moment of truth. Obviously, I've got my first joint out. That's the brisket. And as I said, I'm not going to bullshit you. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. If it's great, superb. If it isn't, then you know, then I'll accept that. I don't even know how to cut into this, whether to go lengthwise but I'm going to go down the short end and just see from there and see what happens. It feels tender. It does feel really, really tender. It's got a smoke ring, which is good. Oh, that's tender when I'm poking it. I've got to admit, guys, that, yeah, I think I've nailed it. It's juicy. You can see the juice coming out of it. I think I've nailed it. I think I've nailed it. I'm so happy with this because last week I done one and it turned out a bit dry. This is absolute perfection. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that juice. Look, it's obviously a short bit, so it's hard to do that flappy thing hanging it off your finger, but you can see the bend in it. This is some juicy piece of meat. This is. Oh my goodness. Look. The taste test. Superb. Smashed it. Perfect bit of brisket. It's only a small bit, but it's beautiful. Do you know what? I'm going to give myself a big round of applause and a big pat on the back because I've just smashed that one. Fantastic. Right, we'll move on now to the pork. Not got high expectations of this, if I'm honest with you, but like I said, we will try. Now I'm cutting into this now. It looks good. There's a smoke ring there. It's tender as anything. Oh, it's just like cutting through butter. It's fantastic. I think I've done well. Right. The thing that's important, anyone can say, oh, it's brilliant. It's the taste test that really counts. All right, so let me try this bit here. Listen, if it was rubbish, I'd tell you it's rubbish. This here is succulent. It's absolutely gorgeous. Flavoursome, everything. The top bit, the skin, I'll have to concede that I didn't do that. Apologies, my last video just conked out. Technical problems. But let's wrap this up here real quick because I don't want to drone on. Personally, I think I've absolutely nailed this. The beef, superb, succulent, tender, fantastic taste, texture, delicious, and the pork even juicier and even more tender. If the only criticism I've got, maybe I could have got the top here to be a little bit more crackling and crackle that up a bit more. Lesson learned. I'll do better next time. But for now, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening. As I said, I'm here to learn. I'm on this journey. I've just started and I'm enjoying myself, and long may it continue. All the best. Over and out.